My next guest believes that every grandparent wants to be a good one, but very few, if any, have taken a course on how to be grandma or grandpa. It's new territory for many, even for Studio 5 relationship contributor Dr. Matt Townsend. But after 8 days on vacation with his grandkids, he learned a few lessons, and he is here to share them with us. You just got back from Hawaii with your family. He used sunscreen, everybody.
I did.
Okay, tell us about the trip.
Amazing. And I don't want to just brag about a trip, but it was a killer trip, and we needed it because it was the first time our family had all been together. We've had marriages, we had one missionary away and came home, and one's about to leave, so it was the perfect chance to get together. But it was also me with my grandkids a lot of time. And I just didn't know, grandparenting scares me because they usually start so darn young. But we got this chance to stay in this beautiful house by our friends that provided that for us. And then we had family pictures taken. But the coolest thing about the whole trip was A, being together, but then B, starting to learn how to be a grandpa. Because they're all there.
You got a lot of
There's no
them,
running from it. Yeah, I have 5.5 of them.
5.5.
But they're beautiful, and I learned so much that I wish I had known. Like day one, I wish I had known this. I thought I knew it. But when you're together so much, you learn.
Okay, yeah, because you have some lessons for us on connecting, and the first one is being intentional.
You've got to know what kind of grandpa you want to be or grandparent you want to be. What's the impact you want? So during this time, I actually was sitting by a Buddha statue overlooking the ocean at 6 in the morning because I couldn't sleep. And I thought to myself, how do I want to impact my family? And how do I want them to remember me when I'm 90 and when I'm gone? What do I want my grandkids to say about me? And by doing that up front, I had a very intentional frame of reference for how to be every day. So every one of us grandparents need to go take a little time and figure out, how do I want to be remembered as a grandpa? Right? Well, a lot of times we're big on the name, what they call us.
Right.
But we might want to be bigger on how we make them feel and what they remember about us when we're gone.
Okay, intentional.
Be intentional.
Be intentional. And your second one, to be present, but we all know that, but in the micro moments.
Micro moments.
What do you mean by that?
You don't have to have a great day. You just have to have a great 8 seconds. Happiness and love and joy is created 8 seconds at a time. It's called a micro moment, and a micro moment is where I sit and play with my grandchild in the water. They're having fun, I'm having fun. We connect to each other. It actually creates a sharing and a pairing of chemistry. We love it, boom, then they swim away. Those 8 seconds will never go away. They were shared, and if I can go have 20 of those micro moments a day, we've created something pretty powerful. All love, all joy is created about 8 seconds at a time.
Just like bull riding.
Yeah, it's like bull riding. Hang on for the ride.
Well, I think that's interesting because I think oftentimes we, as even parents and grandparents, think we have to do the big grand thing. And you're saying it's just in those small moments.
It's 8 seconds. And there's the idea that you don't have time is crazy because you always have 8 seconds. And this is all we need in 8 seconds is some sense of connectivity, some sense of synchrony, and some really love and charitable act together.
Okay, your next one about meeting them where they are, that's got to be difficult when you have different ages.
Oh, this was so hard too because I don't like the beach. I'm not a beach guy.
He's admitting it, everyone.
I don't like the beach. I think it was a neat invention, but there's a lot of sand, a lot of hot sand, a lot of hard stuff to walk on, cold water, salty water. But if I'm not on the beach, I'm not with them. And if they're in the water and I'm not in the water, I'm not with them. So if I failed anywhere on this trip, I didn't always meet them where they were. I would sit and watch them, but I knew I wasn't impacting. So my conscience would say, you got to get up and go play in the water. So you got to know where they are. And that's true too. If your grandkids like playing video games, you can't hate it as a grandparent because that's where they are. So it might be worth you going to learn and lose yourself to become closer to them, meet them where they are on anything. Don't always meet them where you are. Don't try to get them to move where you are. You always meet them where they are, and then once you're there, they'll give you latitude to say whatever you need to say.
I love that. I love that. And it helps us get to know them.
Oh, yeah,
Because
totally.
if we're going to know where they are, we need to know more about them.
Yeah.
Next is, I think, sometimes hard for grandparents. Grandparents are like, should I say something?
Yeah.
Should I not? You're talking about correction versus connection.
And what I've just found is they're getting a lot of correction from their parents. And every time I intervened to correct, I never felt better after. So, but what I did find out is when I would always intervene to connect, then the connection would allow me to do better correction. So if I had a good moment and a space with them, then I could discipline them a little easier or redirect their attention. So don't worry about the correction side of this. One of the cool things that you'll always see about the kids is, I call it circling. Once you see your kids circling, and by the way, at any age, your children, your grandchildren, once they are circling around you more, that's the moment it's time to connect. We always think, oh, now I need to tell you something. Hey, make sure you mow the lawn today. And we go right to the correction. But what we might always want to do is when they're circling, or when the grandkids started getting noisier, or when they started irritating each other more, that was a sign to me that they need connection. So I would kind of swoop in, intercept, connect, and then I might go talk to them on the side and have fun and say, hey, let's not hit our brother when we do that. Let's not do that.
A little grandpa connection.
Let's not do that.
Or correction. Okay, and also you're talking about telling stories, which I value more than anything.
I found out that when I start to tell a story about my own life or something else, all my grandkids would listen.
They don't roll their eyes?
They don't roll their eyes.
Okay.
Now, the teenagers eventually will. I don't have teens yet. But they want to hear the stories. I also found out that they also like to hear stories that, like, if I know somebody in my ancestry that relates to them or is like them, I would tell a story and say, you remind me a lot of this person who was really strong and they came across the plains and they did this and this. They like to feel a connection to that. They also like to create stories with you. And some of the best teaching I found with our younger grandkids is by telling a story about how they were the hero and I made them the hero and they helped the person across the street, or they helped the person at the beach who fell down in the water. And all of a sudden their eyes light up because I made them the hero of their own story. And I thought that was just a way to pass time. But then every time they'd come sit by me, they'd say, tell me another story, Grandpa, tell me another story.
About myself.
Yeah, now we're connected.
And that leads into your last point, which is a grandparent's main job, I believe, which is just being a source of unconditional love. Unconditional
and consistent love. So one of the things I found that was really powerful is every time, and my kids are young, but every time the grandkids would come around, I would find a chance to touch them. I'd always touch their face, and I'd look in their eyes, and then I'd say whatever I'm feeling. Like, I really love being here with you. And it created the coolest connection. And I did it all the time. I just found I was touching their face. And eventually I was thinking they're going to say, Grandpa's pretty touchy. But what I found is if I can make them feel that they're lovable, that they're capable, that they belong, and that they're safe. Lovable, capable. You belong here. You're safe. Lovable, capable. Those are the most basic human needs of everybody. And who better to give that than a grandparent? You're loved no matter what. You're capable. We'll help you through it. You belong. We're a family. We're a tribe. And you will always be safe here. That's all they need to hear, and that's all they need to know.
Those 4 things. Yeah. Okay, you've got some retreats coming up in October, and they're fancy. Where are we going?
Super fancy. We're going to Puerto Vallarta. Got to get that right. Puerto Vallarta. So fun. It's about 5 days or so, and every morning we take time to work on our relationships, and then the rest of the day is yours. You go play, you go party, you have fun. The other one is at Zion's. We do a retreat down in Zion's, the most incredible location we stay at. We take bike rides, e-bikes up into the Zion's. We teach every morning about relationships. We have really cool nighttime chats and fireside chats. It's really powerful. Great way to get a retreat and get closer to each other, build that relationship back up.
2 for 1. You can find all the info on his website, matttownsend.com.
Yep.
Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, Amy. Appreciate you.